Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with instant gingerbread hot chocolate. That's right, we're putting a seasonal twist on everybody's favorite hot cold weather drink. And besides doing this for yourself, this makes for an edible gift so special that the person you give it to won't even care how little time, effort, and money you put into it. It is that good. And to get started, the first thing we'll do is measure out the best unsweetened cocoa we can find. And I'm using a variety called Cocoa Rouge, which as you can see has this gorgeous mahogany color. And that's from this being Dutch processed, which means it's less acidic, and according to people who know things, has a better flavor. But if you can't find Cocoa Rouge, just any high-quality unsweetened cocoa will work. But either way, we'll start with 1 generous cup of cocoa, to which we will add some white granulated sugar, followed by some brown sugar. And it's the molasses element in that brown sugar that's going to help give this drink its gingerbready taste. But of course, we're going to need more than that. So after our sweeteners, we'll go ahead and spice this up with a generous amount of ground ginger, as well as, of course, some cinnamon, plus another classic gingerbread spice, some ground clove. And then it is optional, but I think we also need a pinch of salt in this, just to help amplify those other flavors. Speaking of which, to give this a little extra kick, and also stay on brand, I'm going to finish up with a few shakes of cayenne. And believe it or not, that's it. We will simply take a whisk and give this a good mix. And above and beyond combining this really well now, anytime we work with this, whether we're measuring it into containers to give as a gift, or we're about to measure some into some hot milk, we want to make sure we always give it another additional thorough stirring so that all these ingredients are evenly combined. Okay, if we were making a real instant hot chocolate for a store shelf, this would all be processed into a super fine powder. But here we're obviously not doing that. So every time you use or portion this, make sure you give it a super good mix. And that's it. I know it seems too good to be true, but this instant gingerbread hot chocolate mix is ready to use. But not until we get some milk nice and hot, which I like to do over medium heat. And I think the perfect point to whisk our mixture in is once our milk is almost, but not quite to the simmering point, which if you go by a thermometer is probably like 180 to 190. But there's no need to get too technical. When your milk is really hot and steamy, and you see small bubbles forming around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, we can go ahead and whisk in 2 tablespoons per cup of milk. And since I heated 2 cups, I'm whisking in 4 tablespoons. But of course, if you want to sneak in a little more, that's up to you. I mean, you guys are after all the St. Nick's of how much mix. But through careful and very thorough testing, I've determined that 2 tablespoons per cup is just about perfect. And that's it once everything's been whisked in and completely dissolved, and our milk is piping hot. We can go ahead and pull that off the heat and pour it into some mugs. And the reason I use this pot is because it has that little pouring spout on the side, which is supposed to prevent spills and drips. And it almost did. Although for me, that's pretty good. And if you've watched me over the years, you know I usually spill a lot more. But anyway, I clean that up before applying a little bit of soft whipped cream to the top, which in real life, Michelle and I never do. Okay, I actually prefer it without the whipped cream, but since I'm contractually obligated to take some pictures, I did finish with the cream, plus a nice dusting of cocoa, just to make for a little more enticing looking thumbnail. And that's it after dusting with cocoa, and then off camera pushing that large unsightly chunk down into the cream. I picked that up and took a nice big taste. And that, my friends, if you're a lover of hot chocolate and you enjoy gingerbread, you are going to absolutely love this. Okay, I thought this had the perfect balance, where we definitely got those gingerbread spices, but not so much that it overwhelms the chocolate. Of course, having said that, you should definitely experiment with your ratios and maybe whip up a smaller, like quarter-size batch, so you can do a little bit of tasting and testing. Oh, and by the way, let me do a quick reminder that this is an instant hot chocolate mix, which in the spirit of full disclosure, I will say is not the best way to make hot chocolate. Okay, for that you need actual real chocolate. And if you go check out the Spanish hot chocolate video we did a while back, you can check out that method, which is incredible, but more involved, and not instant. Okay, while not as rich and decadent, the advantage of this style is that we can mix up a big batch and have it sitting ready for us in the pantry at which point we're always just a few minutes away from hot chocolate. And while you should definitely do this for yourself, as I mentioned earlier, this makes for a very special edible gift, which of course you could upgrade and include maybe a set of measuring spoons or a set of mugs. But whether you do this to give as a gift, or you're just making it for you and yours, or ideally both, in any event, I think you're going to love this, which is why I really do hope you give this a try soon. So please follow the links below for the ingredient amounts, a printable written recipe, and much more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.